Good evening. Today is Monday, August 9th, 2021, and I now call this Fairfield City Schools work session to order. Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Begley?
Here.
Mr. Birding?
Present?
Mr. Clark?
Present.
Mrs. Gundrum? Mrs. Shorter?
Here.
Mr. Begley, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Begley. First item on our agenda is Superintendent's recommendations and reports. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Burry. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Martin to cover the items listed under Personnel Professional.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, Mr. Birding, and members of the board. I have several items for you this evening under Personnel Professional. Item number 1, resignation, letter A. Item number 2, unpaid leaves of absence, letters A through C. Item 3, extracurricular corrections for the 21-22 school year, letters A through E. Item 4, employment, letters A through H. Letter I, secondary summer school principal substitute for 2021. Letter J, extracurriculars for 21-22. Letter K, EL tutors for 21-22. Letter L, academic support tutors. Letter M, home instructors for 21-22. Letter N, substitute teachers for 21-22. O, substitute nurses for 21-22, and letter P, a volunteer for 21-22. That concludes the items I have for you this evening under Personnel Professional.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve those recommendations.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes, motion passes.
This time, I'd like to ask Mr. Perry to cover the items listed under Personnel Support.
Members of the board, I have a few items for you to consider under personnel support. Number 1, resignations, A through H. Number 2, unpaid leave of absence, A. Number 3, employment, A through H. And number 4, promotion, A. And that concludes the items under personnel support.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. At this time, I'll accept a recommendation to accept those recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Hey, any questions or comments from the board? Or Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes, motion passes.